I am Paola Campos. I am with Dr. Terry Hope. Thank you for being here. And we are going to talk today about the silent destroyer, right? I got it?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. And what a cool topic. So the idea of the silent destroyer, I mean, what does that really mean in in for you?
Well, for me, it's like this silent, unseen thing that it's slowly destroying me without
Okay.
noticing.
Mhm. And it's funny because people would look at that and go, "Well, is it something I'm eating? Is it maybe it's like one of the things I've been seeing online where it's like eat this, don't eat that." Um how we don't know about it. But in this case, what we're talking about is about judgment.
Okay.
And most people actually don't even know when they're doing it for them or against them. Mostly they're aware when other people are judging them because they get a sense of, discomfort.
Okay. And actually, I I think it's like an autopilot, the thing
Hmm.
from judging us, right?
Hmm.
Like we start like maybe toddlers, kids, baby, and we start learning how to judge us.
Hmm. Well, we learn it at such an early age. Like, what is the right way to do things?
Mhm.
What is a right and wrong thing? Let's just start there. What's right
Yes.
and what's wrong? So that's a judgment. So you learn how to judge what's the right thing and what's the wrong thing. And usually it's an either or.
Yes.
And it's so subtle and it is part of the fabric of what has been created as a fabric, but judgment isn't really real. We've just created as a superimposed veil over top of everything else, we'll say. And it's kind of funny because it invades everything. It judgment. So let's look at judgment from you're going to do a presentation
Mhm.
or you're going to talk to somebody about some business. Let's make it kind of really topical. And
Okay.
now you start preempting everything that you're going to say based on your projection of how you're going to be rejected,
Mhm.
how you have to convince them, how you're going to get rejected, which of course that means that the likelihood of you being rejected are really high because you're already expecting you're going to be rejected. And it also creates, like lots of people are talking about these days is, how they feel so uncomfortable in their bodies.
Mhm.
They put on clothes and they don't feel good, or they look at the size of their bodies and they're looking at it from like, look how much bigger my body is than what I would like it to be.
Mhm.
So it's kind of interesting because we've created a world where bodies are almost like a one size fits all.
Exactly. Oh well, uh, in my case, that applies not only for the bodies. It's like you were talking about the presentation, and we try to fit in, and we forgot how to. I don't know if the word is embrace of like really.
Yeah.
I'm missing that word, but it's like really enjoy being us, being in our body, in our
Hmm.
daily life.
So let me just share an idea because you just tweaked me on like where we could take this. In that, if you were busy about to speak to a client
Mhm,
or do a presentation, and
mhm,
you're really stuck in your head about what you need to say so that you're perfect,
mhm,
so that you say the right things, and that you do it so that you adjust yourself so that you are in your head, logically in your head, how you can be received.
mhm,
Now, how when you function from that, the judgment of like, here, this is how I need to be for other people, it actually diminishes and destroys the power that you have in whatever it is that you're going to bring forward,
mhm,
because the power of it is actually you as a as a being, you the you. It takes it away. So now it's all in your head. It's how you project it into the world so that people won't judge you while you're
mhm,
busy judging you
okay.
silently in the background about whether you're received or not, and what you need to say is a perfect thing. And then all of the essence of you, that is the power, like I'll call it power, but the elements that actually would deliver what would be so amazing for people, because they would actually get that level of powerfulness that you are as a being, the what you it is that you deliver when you're not judging yourself.
Mhm,
It actually takes all of that away. So what I mean by that is, if I was busy judging myself about, I have to look, oh, everyone has looked on Instagram, right? Like, Kira, that's that perfect person again. And she has an airbrushed face and she's looks perfect. And she's rehearsed her script. And it was really
exactly.
funny because when I first looked at doing Instagram, one of my clients said, oh yeah, you need to get this teleprompter thing. So you get the script, you look at the teleprompter, you read it out loud, and you deliver, which is all in your head, has nothing to do, and all based on judgment about not being perfect, about needing to come up with an idea about how that looks. And there's no sense of connection with that. And I know that people have become more aware of these elements of judgment, because if you can remember when people started doing Zoom meetings or live meetings during COVID,
Mhm,
and you would start to listen and you would last maybe 1 minute,
yes.
because it was all about being this fit into a box thing, selling a concept, had nothing to deliver. Not even the people who were talking about it weren't delivering anything, because they were too busy judging themselves and worrying about being judged.
Exactly.
So it plays silently. This thing about judgment plays, I'm going to say silently, but it's not so silent, silently in the background.
Well, it's silently when you don't have like the conscious about it. You know,
Hmm.
you are like in this autopilot, so it is running silently in your mind without you noticing, I
Hmm.
think.
Yeah. And why is it like a silent destroyer? Well, it destroys everything about you, about the brilliance of who you are and what you bring to the world, when you're using judgment of you, or unwilling to receive the judgment that everybody has of you, which we know everyone's going to judge anyway. So we would care for what reason?
Well, we know they are going to judge, but but we have like coming back to us, no? Like, okay, that's the way they think, that's the way. they perceive, that's with them. I have to, I don't know if the word is I have to, it's how can I be more self-confident, or maybe more in love with me, to to stop being worried, what you were
Hmm.
saying about what other people say.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting because that's the gap. That's a gap because it's like, okay, cool. I get it. I'm trying to say the right words. I'm want everyone to hear what I'm saying, and I want to show up perfect, and all of those things. And then there is a degree of freedom that when you can get to the place where you do not care what anybody thinks about you, like you just don't care. It's not like not caring for you. It's not it's not validating or invalidating you through other people's eyes. It
Yes.
is a degree of freedom that is so remarkable that when you can get the sense of like you actually people could say anything to you, people say anything about you, people and you personally don't choose to judge yourself based on anything,
Mhm.
the amount of freedom and happiness that comes out of that. When I actually managed to break that mold, so to speak, of needing to be um, judge myself, be authenticated through other people's eyes, I was like, wow, I would love to share this with everybody so that everybody on the planet could actually start to live from not judging themselves and not judging others. I mean, it's kind of big a big space, but does it have to be?
And just asking, do you remember like this one time, like when you realize, wow, I am in this space of freedom?
Hmm.
Like one example in your life, like I'm
um
connecting the computer.
I think it was um when I probably did one of the first big talks I ever did, and I realized that I was doing groundbreaking and talking about groundbreaking science that no one had ever put together on the planet. And I was in a hospital with 400 people in the room and realizing that what I had to deliver was unique. And the way that I was delivering it was unique. And it was supposed to be a 1 hour presentation and finished in 2.5 hours, that
Okay.
like it swelled over to like a longer period of time because of the Q&A. And I walked away really with a sense of how do I put this to you? A sense of freedom that I had never really imagined was possible, because when you live in the science world, it's so full of judgment. I mean, there's us and we judge
Mhm.
us, and then there's the scientists that are always like as like judgment on steroids, and
Okay.
about how you describe things and stuff like that. And I can remember walking out of that. I was in Brazil just before COVID and hit, and I was like, wow, that was a sense of freedom that was so beautiful, like so beautiful.
Mm, wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, but everybody can have it. This is not just unique to me or to you. Everybody can function from that. And I guess the invitation is to become aware of when you're doing it,
Mm,
when you're busy auto adjusting yourself to other people's worlds. And I'll give you a really small snippet of this, which
okay.
it hasn't got to do with presenting at all. because some people do judgment automatically, they don't even know they're doing it.
Mhm.
But let's do it like one piece. So when you get up in the morning and you're busy brushing your teeth and you're looking at your face, maybe I'm going to say probably most people look in the mirror in the morning, and then you examine yourself. Oh, you're looking great today. Oh my God, look at that wrinkle. Oh my God, I have so many expression lines. I've been living a while on the planet, and I have, um, you know, expression lines on my face.
Yes.
But when you look and you judge yourself for the expression line, like, oh my gosh, I have an expression line, wherever it is, and you look at it and you go, oh, like I'm looking so old, which is a judgment.
Mhm.
And look at that line. It's like, oh my God, it looks really deep today. What you actually do is you make the line deeper. What you
Mm.
actually do is you create more aging with your body.
Okay.
And and so people, like, you look older. When you go, wow, I look so old today, you actually start to accelerate aging and how you look with aging.
Mm.
That one is an easier one for people to identify with on the planet because it's all the external world, like the external world of how we are with ourselves, how other people see us, um, whether they they see us as being amazing or not amazing. So the presentation one is kind of interesting because it does take us out of being remarkably powerful when we're talking to people. But and the one about related to how we look can be a certain way visibly. And
Mm.
it's
Okay.
quite incredible. And nobody knows that when you look at yourself and go, "Oh my gosh, I am looking so old," you actually create more aging.
I'm never going to say that again.
Well, and it could be just uh that's just an interesting point of view. And whose eyes are you looking through? I mean,
Mm.
mirrors are mirrors of the judgments of that other people have of us is what we see in the mirror
Mm.
through their eyes of judgment, which I know makes
Oh,
your head spin when you speak to it that way, but not
yes.
necessarily your eyes.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
but but what if there could be a level of kindness? What is it that we can be for ourselves? We can't stop necessarily other people judging us. But what level of kindness can we be for ourselves that would take us to a place of self honoring
Mm.
and kindness where we don't have to destroy ourselves in the process of living on a planet that is so, I could say, rough and tumble these days?
I know what you mean. So let me share this. Today I have both. I wake up, I look at the mirror, I say like, I didn't rest that well. I feel like I am
Yeah.
looking tired. But after I stop looking at the mirror, I say, okay, so what can I choose today that would honor me? Like
Uh-huh.
my body, like,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like running every all the time. And I'm like, okay, what can I choose today that would honor me? So I have
Ex-
both in one day.
Exactly. And people forget about they get so busy on autopilot they forget about caring about themselves, honoring themselves. They do autopilot like it's time for coffee, it's time to get the kids off to whatever, I need to meet with this person. And they're all in their head, and it really doesn't have a lot to do with living,
Mhm,
being,
mhm.
and being beyond the judgments that we have about ourselves. And honoring and being kind to ourselves is like the greatest gift. Because if we don't do that, who do you think is going to do that?
Nobody.
Like it's just so crazy. Like, but people are waiting to be honored and cared about from the exterior world.
Exactly.
But if you're not doing it for you, is anyone else going to see you for how beautiful you are as a being when you're busy seeing yourself as not being that? The needs improvement deal.
Yes. Yes. I understand what you say.
So, what invitation? I guess, I love questions. And when I was recently in the UK, uh, doing some meetings and presentations, they call me the queen of questions because because when we ask a question, it kind of invites us to a level of awareness and a difference that changes things. And so, like, if you can use a question in the morning, so instead of like looking at yourself in the mirror and going, I forgot my face cream, now I look like blah blah,
I know.
is like, wow, what if it could be like, wow, that's so cool. Um, if I were to see myself through the eyes of no judgment
Hmm.
and admire um, who I am and how I really am without the judgment, what would that look like? What would that be like?
Mm. I love that.
Like that could just be a whole other way of functioning. So, it doesn't have to be about business, but judgment is so s- permeates like almost every aspect of how we live. And when you're not judging you, people notice it. People notice that there's something different there, but they can't really put their finger on it. But it's different than
Mhm,
how everybody else is. And
mhm.
then when you don't judge them, oh my God, that's a level of receiving. Like, oh my gosh, I could just talk to this person and I get the sense they're not judging me. They
Yeah,
have a level of allowance and a level of allowance and receiving of people that is so beautiful that for some people it makes them very uncomfortable. For other people, they totally relax because they recognize they don't have to fit into the box of judgment.
exactly. Exactly. I was going to say that you can relax when you are with someone who's not judging you. It's like
Yeah.
you feel like you're melting and you can be you.
Yeah, exactly. So, what questions could you use when you questions could you use that would allow you to see yourself and be yourself through the world of no judgment?
Mm,
And what if you don't have to destroy yourself in the process of living in judgment?
exactly. I love it.
Cool. Thanks everybody for joining. How much fun can we have? And try playing with that and see how that works for you. See if that kind of tweaks something in your world for a different possibility. Thanks for joining,
Exactly.
everybody. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Terry. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.